Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. My name is Henrik Bick. I'm the Communications and Content Manager for the Music Business Association. Glad to welcome you today to the newest session in our Common Ground webinar series. Before we kick things off, I just have a couple of housekeeping notes, both for today's session and for music biz related items. So at the start here, we had a couple issues the last couple of weeks with chat, but we've taken care of that as of now. For the attendees who are logged in today, for y'all to connect with one another, be sure to change your chat settings to everyone. That will allow you to network with one another while you're in the session. We'll also be having a Q&A portion of this webinar at the very end. Be sure to add any questions you may have for today's presenter in the Q&A box on your Zoom dashboard, and we'll be happy to get to them at the end of today's webinar. In case you hadn't seen the news, outside of the realm of virtual events, we will be back in Nashville next year, May 15th to the 18th for Music Biz 2023 at the JW Marriott out in downtown Nashville. Registration information, hotel bookings, the call for presentations, and more details can be found at our website, musicbiz.org, or directly at musicbiz2023.com. A couple of dates for you. As I said, May 15th to the 18th is the conference, and our call for presentations allowing you to submit your panel ideas and panelist ideas for the 2023 event is open until Wednesday, December 7th. So be sure to visit our website today to start preparing for your trip to Nashville now. Next week, we have another webinar coming up hosted by Infinite Catalog. And as you know, we've filled out our full fall calendar for fall 2022. We do have an announcement coming up shortly for a new session we're adding on Thursday, November 10th. Details on that will be coming soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. You can find information about all of our webinars and everything else Music Biz related at musicbiz.org, or by following us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, at musicbizassoc, ASSOC. On top of the event news, you'll also see some new episodes of the Future of What podcast, actually featuring today's presenter. And the latest edition, I should say, of our Keeping Tempo interview series with the folks over at Song Sleuth. But without any further ado, let's get to the main reason you're here today. I want to welcome the session co-founder and CEO, Niclas Molinder, who's going to be talking about the platform and giving us a demo today. Niclas, take it away.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to this webinar about Session. My name is Niclas Molinder, and I'm actually not the CEO. I am CFO, and no, actually CRO. I thought until recently that meant Chief Relationship Officer, until our CEO, Doug Imrie, told that it means Chief of Revenue, and that made me laughing because that was not really what I expected my role to be. But funny enough, at least I'm one of the co-founders, and I will today present the Session platform and explain in more detail what we do and the reason why we exist. Before I start, I also want to thank the Music Biz organization for hosting us and also for having me on the podcast. It was a really great experience, and if you haven't listened to the podcast, check it out. So let's get started with the presentation. So I'm a songwriter, music producer, and I've been doing that for many years, plus 20 years. So I know exactly how it is to be a creator in the studio. We creators, we really love creating music, and we love what comes out of the speakers, and we focus on that. What we don't focus so much on is the administration and what's going on in the background. But we sometimes complain and shout that we don't get paid and credited properly. But we don't really understand why and how we as a creative community really can help the whole industry and everyone that represents us downstream to really get our credits and get the fair compensation. So when at one point, I don't really remember how many years ago, me and my partner at the time, when we were in the studio, we created a lot of music and we were pretty successful. So we came to a point where we couldn't really keep up delivering all the requests. So we started to sign really talented up and coming creators to our company. So we more or less became a production house and a publishing company. And I was a bit naive at the time, so I thought I could be in the studio creating music at the same time as I were a publisher and took care of all the admin. But it turned out that it was so hard just for 3 writers to keep track of all the information. And I was frustrated that I just got bits and pieces of the information. I mean, I got names, and sometimes I don't know if the names were spelled in the right way. I was not sure if the titles of the songs that my creators, the titles that they gave me, that was right. So I tried with a lot of different things. I tried with spreadsheets, split sheets, text messages, emails, but I realized that if I only get the truth or what my creators think is the truth, I have no idea what the other people that they've been working with, what their truth is, since we're working with letters and spellings. So, and I'm from Sweden, and I have letters on my keyboard that you don't even have. So some names in Swedish cannot even be typed on an English keyboard. So therefore I realized that, oh, the identifiers are so important, but we don't have that in a coordinated way. So that's the idea of Session and why Session exists today, because there was no need for having this kind of solution that gave me the information from the source and from the only group of people that really knows the truth about everything, the creators in the studio. No manager, publisher, or label that was actually not there can guess or tell what the truth is. So therefore we need the creators to get on board and help us. And that without disturbing them in their creation process, because they need to be able to focus on the most important thing for them, to create the music. With this idea, I started to do some drawings and some ideas of how I would like this to be for myself as a creator. And when I thought I had at least a good first step, I reached out to 2 really famous, successful music creators, Max Martin and Björn Ulvaeus of ABBA. And alongside with them, I founded Session. For some of you, you might have heard the name Audley, because that was the name of the company from the beginning. And I know that that's a bit weird name, but we wanted a .com domain, and we figured out audio and lyrics becomes Audley, and that domain was free. But 2019, we relocated to London. We partnered up with Doug Imrie and Phil Sant, and from that moment on, we are now called Session, and we're located in London. So we see Session as actually 2 things. We have one thing that solves a real problem for the industry, and I'm going to get back to that in a second. But everything that is related to admin, we need to be very careful when we communicate with the creators about that, because if we get too admin and too detailed and too complicated, then we lose them. So Session for the creators, it's a collaboration tool. It's a place where they can keep track of all the information and all the audio and the lyrics. So a lot of great features that actually I as creator really missed when I was active as a music creator. So a collaboration tool on the one hand side, but on the back side, a really data hub that collects all the information, authoritatively verified identifiers that then is sent downstream where it should go. And what is so important here is to understand, and I mean, the most of you that listen to this view represents the music industry, is that the creators that have a hard time to understand, because sometimes it is very complicated. Let's say a creator that sits with a guitar writing a song, because that's what they say, what they're writing a song, but what they actually are doing, they're writing a musical work. It's nothing actually, what they're doing there is nothing in the end that's going to be able to listen to. It's writing a musical work. So that creator does that and write lyrics. But then suddenly someone puts a microphone, the same individuals still do the same thing, but now they're the same creators now also on the recording side. So to be able to understand this, you need to know the underlying rights management and how the identifiers link to the roles works. But it can be really challenging. So session is a tool for the creators where they only have to give us the role, what they do. And we make sure that that contribution is linked to the song, which is the end product, and make sure that the identifiers are linked and matched. So I'm going to now show you just 2 slides before I get to the demo of the real product. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to start this presentation. So if we start with what actually the core thing for session, what we do. And before I start, I also going to say that I know we changed name from Audley to Session, and now we're also defining our product line a bit. So what I'm going to demonstrate for you later today is Session Studio. Session Studio is the tool that the creators use in the studio. Why we've done this is because that Session as a company will shortly also release a few other products. So we wanted to separate our product line. So Session Studio is the creator tool in the studio, but we will also later this year release a couple of products that is more back-end related for the music industry. I'm sorry for that confusion and that we've been a bit flexy about our brands, but it takes some time to make everything get in the right place. So let's talk about why Session is needed and what actually our core thing for you music industry representatives is. And that's what you see on the screen right now. It's the 5 identifiers that the industry is using to separate people, individual creators, companies, organizations, and recordings and musical works. Most of you probably know it, but I'm going to quickly run through them. IPI stands for Interested Parties Information, and it's the unique identifier for songwriters and publishers. To creators, to songwriters, I actually say that this is your social security number as a songwriter. If you don't know it, it's like going to the bank and try to withdraw cash without your social security number. You're not going to get anything. It's the same here. If you're a songwriter and don't have an IPI or don't know it, you will not get paid. The next one is the musical work identifier, and it stands for International Standard Work Code. It's the unique identifier for all musical works, and both the IPI and ISWC is what we normally call the publishing side. Songwriter and publishing side, and both identifiers are controlled or managed by the CSAC community. Then we have the ISRC, International Standard Recording Code, which is the unique identifier for all recordings, and that's more on the label side. And IPN stands for International Performer Number, and is the unique identifier for each performer on a recording. And this is what I meant before with a creator playing the guitar, writing a musical work, then that individual is an IPI. But when you put a microphone, the same person is an IPN. And we have been using these for a decent time, and they have been the 4 main identifiers. But a few years back, we also got introduced to ISNI, International Standard Name Identifier. And the difference between the other 4 and ISNI is that ISNI is an open public identifier. And that was launched just to be able to get kind of an umbrella identifier that for an individual that it's easier to coordinate the identifiers under one identifier. So let's say that if we have all these 5 identifiers assigned, linked, and matched before the first commercial release of a song, then we have at least made all the opportunities to find the people, find the companies that are behind the songs much better than we have today, because as you might know, the link between the ISRC and ISWC is crucial, because we see on the publishing side, and especially on the society side, that they miss when they get usage reports based on ISRCs, they don't have the links to the ISWCs. What Session want to do is provide the industry with the links before the release. And when a song is linked and matched in the correct way, it looks like this. And I'm going to use Dancing Queen from my dear colleague and co-founder Björn Ulvaeus. So there are 4 APIs on Dancing Queen: Björn Benny, Stig Andersson, which is their manager, and Universal Music Publishing. They are together control the rights for Dancing Queen, the musical work Dancing Queen. And it's a funny story with just Dancing Queen, because that musical work has actually ISWC number 1. It was the first musical work to ever receive an ISWC. And unfortunately, as the world looks today, and we don't, from Session, don't say that that will be changed completely, but as it is right now, even though we know that in this case it's number 1, so it should be pretty easy to keep control of. But last time we checked, Dancing Queen had 89 different ISWCs in the systems that we found, which means that, and there was also ISWCs with more APIs and names that we really couldn't recognize, and we don't know who they are, but they were on an ISWC that was linked to Dancing Queen, the musical work. So therefore, it's so important that it has 1, and that we assigned it at the point of creation. And if there's more than 1 songwriter involved, it's so important that that songwriter and the songwriter's managers and manager and publisher refer to the same title, and on the Session platform can also now, since we have the technology to do that, also assign what's called an early ISWC. This is something we're working on right now together with the CISA community to find out. From a Session perspective, we have all the technology to do this, but it means that we assign the ISWC at the point of creation as soon as we're aware of 1 API and a title that can be temporarily. And we can assign that identifier, and it's not a full registration. So all publishers involved can at any given time just pull out a CWR file from the Session platform with all at the moment known APIs and the current title at that point. But the most important thing is that it will have this the ISWC that will be the final ISWC down the line. So, and if we change, or if not we, if the creators on this musical work change how, and maybe add another API, change the title, then everyone involved will get an update. If there's a self-published songwriter, we're working with the CISAC societies to offer them to have a direct registration button directly in the Session app, so they can do registrations when they think it's time to do that. So we think that on the Session platform, we have technology and structures that really can help the whole publishing world to align around 1 identifier at the point of creation. Then we on the ISRC side for Dancing Queen, we have an original ABBA version, we have an ABBA Live, or maybe 2 or 3 ABBA Lives, and then we have thousands of covers, and each and one of them should have the unique ISRC so we can separate the recordings. But all ISRCs on this ISWC should be pointed back to the 1 and only, if we have 1 and only. In this case, if we have 89, to which ISRC is pointed to which ISWC, and here is where we really have a hard admin challenge in the music industry to really find the links. What we're going to do, or actually what we do now already from a technical perspective, but we need to more interact with the industry, is to do a sign between the ISWC and the ISRC. So if there's duplicates or multiple of any of them, we can always come back to the original signing between the 2 of them and find the right link. And I will also add that Session is an ISRC agent, so we can assign ISRCs. But when we work with labels, and with the labels, we only send DDEX RIN standard. So we're totally DDEX RIN compliant and only use the DDEX RIN standard. And when we send DDEX RINs to labels or aggregators, we can get the ISRC back if it's not already assigned on the Session platform. And on each ISRC, we need to have IPNs for each performer that are doing some kind of contribution on the recording. The IPN is controlled by the SCAPRA societies, and it's mostly used in the European countries. But since we're also using ISNI, we can help the American markets through collaborations that we do with Sound Exchange to also make a link between the IPN and the ISNI. So that is how it should. We know that, of course, it will be problem still, but if we can have the links and have all these 5 assigned, linked, and matched before the first commercial release, things will be so much easier. And instead, if we're talking from a publishing perspective, instead of saying that we have unidentified money that we can't link, we can at least have, let's say that in this case, we might have an ISWC linked to an ISRC that is released to the market, but the splits are not done. But we can solve all those problems later because we know the link and we know who the rights holders are. And when there's a significant amount of money, we can say to them, if you just clear this issue or give us the splits, we can then pay out. We can then keep it in the white buckets instead of sending it out in the world to the wrong pockets and say that it's unidentified. So with that said, I'm going to jump in and demonstrate how Session is solving this. So Session Studio is available on all mobile devices. We're on web, but we're also, most importantly, we're on the so-called DAWs, the digital audio workstations, the softwares that the creators are using for recording and mixing the music. And we think it's so important to be there because that's where there's a specific moment. For those of you that don't know, it's called bounce, and that's when the producer or engineer press bounce and make all the tracks down to one stereo track. And at that point, it's not possible to change anything individual. So what's going on there on the screen and what comes out as a stereo file is the truth. We might do a new mix tomorrow, but then we have another truth tomorrow. And Session helps the creators to keep track of the truth for each and one of the audio files. Some have tried this as plugins, and a plugin is a third-party software that are used in the DAWs that you insert on the audio channels. We believe that our solution is better because myself as a producer, but when we've been talking to other producers, you don't want to insert plugins on an audio path that is not related to audio. And if you're working with multiple DAWs, it's a challenge to know that you have the right plugin inserted and that information is linked. The Session platform works on all the DAWs on the market, and you can have multiple DAWs on the same song, and the information is always 100% in sync. I'm going to demonstrate today on Pro Tools. So this is a Pro Tools, and with a normal Pro Tools version. But instead of having the metadata and the collaboration tool Session as a plugin, this is Session now. As soon as the creator opens the DAW on their computer, this badge will be there, and they can put it wherever they want. If they don't want it, they can of course hide it. And you can start a new song if you make a new song on the DAW and choose new song from this menu. We would then pull out all the information, title, and everything we know from the DAW and start a new song on the Session platform. If you hide it, it's always available up here. So we think that the creator should, of course, be 99.9% in this view on the DAW and create music. But as soon as there's something going on that is admin related or related to the features that we provided, it's just a double click away. So the first thing I'm going to show you is what we call the studio check-in, which is the unique feature on Session that solves the problem. So to authoritatively verify that the creator we're talking about is the right ID we verify them with, we have a unique creator ID verification collaboration with both the CSAC societies and the SCAPRA societies. That means that we have a simple handshake technology that we do with the societies individually, and when a creator signs up for session, we automatically verify their ID based on the membership data based on their societies. For the US market, I'm going to give you a pre-announcement about this because we are announcing that later this month, but Session now verifies songwriters by their IPIs with both ASCAP and BMI, and that is already in production, but we're going to do the announcement together with Sona later this month. We also do the same thing with a number of European societies, and we're adding them one by one. And we do the same thing with the SCAPRA societies. And since we're also an ISNI agency, we can work with Sound Exchange for performers in the US. So for the demo purposes, I'm going to use my phone. So I'm going to actually bring up my phone next to this. So when a creator walks into the studio, and in this case, and we are very flexible. I'm going to say that first, that we are very flexible in any type of collaboration. So creators can work remotely. They can be in the same room, which is the situation I'm going to show you now. They can use the studio check-in feature that I'm going to demonstrate now, but they can also add by emails and actually also add information manually for creators that absolutely don't want to be on the session platform. So we have made it very dynamic, and we have tried to copy how it works out there in the real world without session. So session just make things, what we add is a transparency layer. So if a songwriter adds another songwriter outside the session world, if there was other songwriters involved from the start, they might not even know that one of the other songwriters added a new one. But with the session system, is transparent, and not only the creators, the managers, and the publishers gets this information instantly. But back to the studio check-in. So when a new creator walks in to the studio, and in this case, I'm going to show you from a songwriter perspective. If it's now the engineer or the producer that's going to collect this information, it's about between, depending on the individual and the roles, it's between 5, 6 up to 12 data points that this engineer / producer needs to capture. Full legal name, and again, back to my funny name, I have a funny letter that you guys don't have on your keyboard if you're not from Sweden, Norway, or Denmark. So you can't even write my name. So, but legal names, identifiers, society affiliation, managers, and it can be a long list. But instead of doing that, we have the studio check-in. So what happens is when a new creator walks into the studio, the engineer goes, "Can you please just scan in?" And the engineer opens the QR code, and the creator just opens the scanner and just scan this QR code. And immediately get a question, what is your role here? Because these are roles that the creators are aware of. And in this case, I'm a songwriter and I check in. And look now what happens. I'm going to hold my hands like this, so I'm not faking anything. Just in a second now, my name just automatically pops up on the songwriter tab. If I always have the same role, I can preset that. But in this case, I don't use that, so I want to set the role. But before that, we can see that my IPI is grayed out because it's verified by my society STIM in Sweden. And this is my ISNI, and it's also verified, so it should not be changed. The only thing we do is choose the role, and I'm composer and author on this one. And as you see, we get dates, we get all information, and the only thing the engineer now do is press save. Now my IPI is linked with all the other 4 IPIs here. And as you see, I, since before, already have different roles, but that's on the recording side. What we have the technology to do, and what we're now talking to the publishing side of doing, is behind this already have an ISWC assigned. Again, it's not a registration, it's just an existing identifier. So we could actually now link all the 4 APIs directly to an ISWC in the studio. Now I can, as a creator, use all the other features here in this, what we call the song room. So Session provides full audio storage for the creators. And this is based because we don't think that any MP3 file should be sent out during the creation process whatsoever. So this is a perfect place for the producer and to share the existing audio files with the other creators and A&Rs and everyone else involved. And we, of course, cover all different kinds of audio files, all the stems, which we know is so important because all producers needs to deliver stems to labels today. We also have instrumentals and TV tracks, but really important, when now I'm added to this song, and I have one account here on my phone and one on the screen, so you know it's 2 different accounts. So now actually I can go in as a songwriter myself. I've been using the voice memo recorder on the phone, and it's sometimes impossible to find the right recording I'm looking for, because it's just dates and times in a long list with hundreds of recordings. So what I can do now is actually go in and record my ideas directly here into the app, and it will automatically get stored. I can just name it to demo in this case. And now we're uploading it to the platform. Voice memo recordings are always private first, because what you see on this side is always what you see here is accessible to everyone else. But of course, you can have all files as private if you want. So on the phone, if I now want to share it with the others, I just take away the private thing and boom, it's now available for all the others. I just think I need to refresh it. So now we see the demo that I just recorded, and it's just to drag and drop it directly into Pro Tools, and we can now use the voice memo recording a songwriter did in the studio or remotely directly into the DAW. We will add more features here on the audio page, playlisting and more work more on the sharing side. But as it is today, you can of course share it, and you can share it to others that's not on the Session platform. Then you can listen from any browser, and all files can be downloadable if you want so. Then we have lyrics. This is the most used feature on the Session platform, and I see it used by songwriters all the time. So we have actually been developing this together with the songwriting community in Nashville that had great ideas how they wanted this to work. So now again, I just enter, but now I'm going to enter lyrics. And what you see now, what happens is that now both accounts shows up. And when I start writing on my phone, it's visual for anyone else to see. And we also, of course, timestamp everything. And we think that this is the best way of getting the creators to work with the lyrics on a song level and make it then available, the original lyric, the source, for publishers and also for the labels, since we know that when the music is released everywhere they're out in the world, we can display lyrics on almost all the services out available. And now we can provide the lyrics from the source directly from the creators. And the creators loves this feature. So that's lyrics. And I demonstrated the credits tab before. I can take away this one now for a second. So the credits, as you saw before, and just one thing, all the roles are based on the DDEX lists and instruments, and all the roles are based on the DDEX lists. Funny enough, on the instruments, there is actually an instrument called bicycle pump, and we have not really figured out who played the bicycle pump, but it is actually listed as an instrument. Get back to the songwriters for a second. So we know that splits is a really sensitive area. Some creators don't have any problem. Some creators think this is really challenging. When should you talk about it? Is it always equal? Or, but we don't want to set limits for anyone. And with the way we manage and treat the identifiers, we think it's fine for the creators to actually discuss the split later if they want to. My personal opinion as a songwriter is that it's much better to do it in the studio at the point of creation, because then when you have it fresh in your head, if you do it later, 2-3 months later, how many songs have you been written during that time? It's maybe hard to remember. But if the creators do it in the studio, fine. But if they want to do it later, fine. We have a split feature that looks like this. So I'm just added, as you saw, I scanned in. So whatever splits that was there before is not valid anymore, because now we have a new split. So I just click new split. I go in, I add myself to this list, and now it's just to talk about the splits. There's no machine or computer in the world that can tell the songwriters what the split should be, because it needs to be a human interaction where they talk about it. But what we offer them is a split equally button. So if you press that, it gets 25 each, and I propose. Now, everyone involved, songwriter, publishers, manager, will now get a notification saying there's a new split going on here, and that's the best way, what we think, then to really get the splits transparent and clear. If I go back to my phone again, and in the same song now, since I have 2 accounts, I now have received a split proposal that is actually the same as we see here. So now I can accept it. And then what happens on the on this side is, if I go back now we can see that 2 of the writers, including the one I did on my phone, have accepted. We see the IPI number, so it's all available. And we don't take no for an answer here. If a songwriter disagree on a split, then propose a new split, or just be quiet. No is not an answer we really like here, because it's not really no, then it's tell us what you like. Any of the songwriters, the publishers, manager can download a split sheet directly from here. And it will, of course, be transparent and say that this is a split sheet, but everyone has not really accepted yet. Here is also where publishers can get the CWR files in different ways. And for those publishers that are interested to talk to us how you can get that, I recommend that we do that offline and that you contact us later. I just also want to say here that I demonstrated now how it works with the studio check-in. This code can, of course, be shared, and you can send it to someone else to scan in somewhere else. But if we don't want to use that, we can always add people here, and you can search for any person you've been working with before. And as I said, also, if we want to do it manually for someone, you just add manually. And add manually is very not authoritatively, but if there's a group of songwriters, 3, let's say that, and the 4th one absolutely don't want to be here, the more information the 3 existing ones here can add, maybe one know an email to a manager or a publisher, someone maybe know an IPI, so collectively we can get more information about this person. And if we have an email, this person will get all the information when anything changes here, even if they have a session account or not. Next, we go to access, and here is, we have been working so hard to figure out how the structure should be for the involved people here on this song. If you have a credit, it doesn't mean that you have full access to all this information. We want to have full control over who can see this. So people here on this credit list don't see anything else than just on the credits tab. So on the credits tab, you have your credits, and if you click on that, you only get a list of what credits you have on this specific recording and musical work. But to get into this, you need to be on the access list. And here it could be anyone. It could be the creators, a manager, a publisher, but then also an A&R from the label later on comes in. So it's very, very flexible, all from top high security when you just have 1 or 2 people, you know exactly who can access it, up to a full band with managers and you know, we don't set any limitations for how many people that can be involved, but that's how we separated credits and access. Details is information that we pull out automatically from the DAW. So this is nothing you have to write. You can of course change anything you would like to change, but it's automatically pulled out from the DAW. So in other words, all the data that is linked to the song, all 5 identifiers and all contributions, lyrics and everything is the only place where the creators really type things is on the lyrics tab. Everything else is just automatically captured. And now I've been focusing on this screen, but as I said in the beginning, this is where we think the creators should be all the time. But when they need to do stuff, just click there and we're on top of the DAW. Super, super simple. And back quickly to the credits tab. For session musicians that normally don't have access to all the other information, the session musicians that using the session platform today loves it, because for the first time it's a place where they have the verified information about their contribution on a song listed. And we have been doing experiments and we will continue doing that. We have done it in a smaller scale, but the next step is actually to use session on a recording in London, hopefully at Abbey Road, with the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra, and do 80 people in one go that just scan in and just see how everyone is added. We have tried it with 20 people and it works amazing, no problem whatsoever. So we think that both producers, musicians, artists, everyone we will simplify for them to make it easy for them to identify themselves, to get the links to the ISRC and ISWC. So now, all songs that I have full access to is on the songs list. So it's just to work, create music. If you want to use the audio and lyrics, yeah, fine. We think it's brilliant tools, but the most important thing, have your creators using the scanning, the studio check-in feature, because that's where we get all the links. Now it's done. The song is ready to be released to the market. We have a release tab. So we are, as I said, we are DDEX compliant. So we only send DDEX rings. We are working with a number of labels at the moment with sending the DDEX ring files, and that is also related to a few of the other products that we will release later this year or early next year. It's all about labels and aggregators receiving and understanding rings from multiple sources. So when there's a release coming up, the creators just go here where all information is. If you're sending it to a label, we have a label tab, and that I'm not going to go in detail on the label, but when you create a release to a label, you just click what song you want to release, review the credits, is there anything you want to change, and then press send. The only thing you need to get is the project code from your A&R, so session knows where to send the DDEX ring file, so it receives the right landing zone receives that information. But what I'm going to demonstrate today is our SoundCloud integration. So session and SoundCloud are integrated. We have just made this in production, but so we have not really made the announcements about it yet. We made it for the industry, but we have not really reached out to the creators about it. That is something we will scale up now and really make sure that the creators gets the information. So what more or less it is that you, in your account settings for your session account, you link your SoundCloud account. And it's so simple. You create a release, you choose from the audio files you have, and in this case, I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to take an instrumental, and that's also going to make it to a playlist. I added 2 files. What the session platform now is doing is assigning ISRCs to those 2 audio files automatically, collect all information, and since it's a playlist, I can just type music demo, for example, and now just export. Now I get the standard SoundCloud settings that I need to decide. I want to make it private and I export. Now Session sends all this information. For the first time, all identifiers available on the platform directly to SoundCloud. And the difference from uploading to SoundCloud through the existing web portal where they get an audio file and the title, we now can present that if I go to my SoundCloud account and I just update here, what you're now going to see is now you have the music based demo playlist and the 2 audio files here with all identifiers, all information in one go. So this is what we think is going to be a game changer in the industry, to get the data in one go in a controlled format. So on this list here, we hope to add more companies. We hope to add the aggregators so you can upload directly to your aggregator, and we wish to get more labels also on the label release side. So that is Session. Session is available free for all creators. We don't charge the creators anything. They can download both the mobile apps and the desktop app and get started. We don't even ask them for a credit card. The business model is that we have a paid tier, we have a premium tier for storage, because as you see, the creators can store. And that takes a lot of storage, because many of our users are using this in scale, and it's a lot of data. The producers on our platform have also been asking us for another feature. So shortly, next to details, there's going to be a new tab called Files. So the creators can upload the full Pro Tools project or whatever DAW they're using, the full project as a backup. They can upload contracts related to this song. It could be anything. We're also working together with a number of the 3 biggest DSPs, the streaming services, and Universal on the next generation of credits. It's a proof of concept, but it also means that the creators on the song level, on the Session app on the phone, will get access to the camera, so they can take photos and videos from the creation process. With that said, we can, if we get enough content and we need many songs, of course, and enough content. Now the consumers out in the world can now get a new type of booklet where they can get photos and videos from the creation process. In other words, a complete behind the scenes experience from how it was in the studio. And that will also drive storage. So therefore, Session will be charging for storage. We're going to give 5 gigabytes for free. We're just going to take 79 cents for up to 50 gigabytes, and then we're going to charge per gigabyte. So that is part of the revenue model. But what you see today, everything with the studio checking, verifying identifiers, is completely free for the creators to use. So with that said, I want to open up if there's any questions.
We do have a couple of questions from our audience today. First off, before we get into that, I do want to say thank you so much, Niclas, for taking your time today and showing us the Session platform, talking about the mission and the important work that you all do over there. Our first question here is from Byron. Byron's wondering if you'll be affiliating with SOCAN for Canadian creators.
So Session want to collaborate with all societies. We're very active and connecting with the societies. The ID verification for the societies is also free of charge. It's nothing that Session charged the societies for. The only thing the societies needs to do is a small technical integration with us that takes a couple of days. We've been talking to SOCAN for a very long time. We have not really got to the point where we were there yet. But now, since we have ASCAP and BMI doing it and a number of European societies, we can't wait for SOCAN to get on board. So they are fully aware of that we want to do this with them. And if you're a publisher or a songwriter in Canada, please just let them know that this is something you would like to see with SOCAN. And we're ready whenever they are.
All right, our next question comes in from Dre. Dre's looking for the answer here. Does everyone involved in a collaboration need to have the session platform to be able to manage splits through session?
So as it is right now, you need to have a session account to be part of the split. You can, as I said, get information about what the others are doing. So if the session platform just have an email address to a songwriter that is part of it, but that songwriter don't have an active session account, we can send out emails saying that there are split negotiations going on for the musical work that you're involved in, but they need to have an account. We are open to suggestions, and we're actually have been talking about maybe open up. It's not prioritized for us to do it right now, but maybe have a feature where a songwriter that's not actively on the platform can at least be part of the split negotiations in one way or another. It's a really good question. It's nothing that will come within the next 6 to 12 months, but it's a really good idea.
All right, and our last question as of right now comes from Jen. Jen wants to know how Session handles samples and interpolations.
Wow, that's also a really good question. So I would like to extend that question a bit, not only include samples, we also talking about covers, because there's so many covers, and we cannot do that really on our own. We need to collaborate a bit on it, but since we're working very close with a number of labels, we are now looking into how, from a cover perspective, how the artist and the producer easy can find the original musical works that is underlying for the recording, and so the ISWC can be linked to the ISRC at the point of creation, before the release. When it comes to samples, we would like to do the same thing, that simplify it for the creators in the studio when they use a sample on their own recording. The challenge here is that many of the times the producer don't really know where it comes from. So now there are technology, as everyone knows, like fingerprinting, there where we can recognize existing recordings and underlying musical works. It's nothing that we do right now, but if we see it from a rights perspective, what it actually is that if you use a sample, if the negotiation is that it includes both the musical work and the recording, now we need actually to add more IPIs on the songwriter tab, because what's going to happen is that a new ISWC is going to be created. It has actually nothing to do with the original work, even if that's what people that hears is going to relate it to. From a registration perspective, it's going to be a new ISWCs with all the involved IPIs linked to it. So, and that structure we already have. We just need to find the easiest way for them to figure out exactly what sample they're using. So we are looking into that. It's a complex, advanced problem to solve, but if you give us some time, I'm sure that we will come up with something. And if you have ideas for how it should be done, please let us know, because we're here to make this work for everyone. So please let us know if you have ideas.
And a quick follow-up to that question from Jen, can it at least capture the sample artist or title, if known at the point of creation, as an information reference at the start?
Yeah, so that is part of it. And we have actually we have some mock-ups and some ideas, but what we have learned during the years since we've been around, we absolutely don't want to rush any release of new features, because that can just come out wrong. We prefer to, even if we're eager to get everything out as soon as possible, it's better for us to work out a solution that is solid and works for everyone. So we have ideas, all from simple notepad where you can just manually write down what you think you're using, or if you want 100% show, you just write it down. But that's not authoritative enough. We need to get away from human retyping as much as possible. But we're working on it, but there's nothing on the platform right now that can help you with that problem. But again, we we change our prioritization all the time. So if the request comes up, that will happen with the lyrics. We didn't really prioritize lyrics, but then we got so many requests on improving the lyrics feature. So we did that. We prioritized that. If you have ideas for how you think sample information should be handled, please let us know. That's the only thing I can say at this time.
Excellent. Thank you. That brings us to the end of our questions as they're submitted. So we'll begin to wrap up here. Any last minute questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. But again, thank you, Niclas, for your time today, for showcasing Session's mission and the platform. Super exciting to see it live in action. I remember talking to you when it was early ideas. So it's exciting to see it up and moving now in front of everybody's eyes here. And thank you all for tuning in today and for your enthusiasm and your questions for the topic. Really grateful to have you all here for this week's webinar. Hope to welcome you to the next one. And thank you all. Oh, one last question. Pricing. Pricing on Session is our last question.
Okay, sorry, I didn't pick up with that. What was the question?
Christian mentioned the pricing for Session again. I'm sure there's some exciting answers you have there.
Okay, so the pricing is, so it's free from 0 to 50 gigabytes. Sorry, from 0 to 5 gigabytes, and from 5 to 50 we charge 79 cents for per month, and from that we charge per gigabyte. So it's more or less, it's a price model that we've seen in a lot of other storage providers. So we have more or less, we're on the same level as many others out on the market.
Thank you again, Niclas. Thank you everyone for tuning in today. We're glad to have you here, and I hope to welcome you to the next webinar. Take care.
Can I just add and end with something?
Yes.
We provide this technical solution, and I must say that from the start, from both Max and Björn, we do this to help the most important people we have in the industry, the creators. But we also know how hard it is to change the behavior of the creators. We provide the platform, but we need to work together as an industry to really make a change. Because the biggest problem, the biggest challenge for a solution like Session is to get user adoption in the creative communities. With our collaboration with SoundCloud, and then now upcoming with all the societies, it's going to be better, and we're going to be more known. But industry, please work with us, reach out to us. We love to collaborate, and we love to help you to get better and better quality and authoritative data for your musical works and your recordings, so everyone involved in a song can get paid and credited correctly, fast and effective. Very true. And as always, the best things are born of collaboration. Yeah. Thank you, Niclas. Thank you, Session, and thank you all for being here today. Thank you so much.